Hello and welcome to day one of playoff week here for split one of the 2020 OPL. I am your host Nick Boy Richardson, and it is a pleasure to be back on air with some of my favorite people in the country playing one of the best games. There is no AFL, there's no NRL, there is OPL, and there's going to be a ton of OPL this week. I'm joined by Juves, Rusty, and Skimmy. Spawn is getting ready to be part of the Avant versus Order set one for playoffs. But gentlemen, welcome. Let's start with Juves. Please, a pleasure to have you back, my friend.
Oh, I'm glad to be back. I've missed you guys, and I'm grateful to share this the playoffs with you guys once again.
We Rusty, Skimmy, you'll know that like when we did this the first week, there was a lot of analysing of where people are in their house, what they're doing.
Yeah,
we've seen the evolution of Rusty's home, which went from a bedroom to his Japanese meditation room. Juves, where are you?
I'm actually in like I guess it's called the rumpus room, but sometimes people don't necessarily know what a rumpus room is. But yeah, I'm in my rumpus room. I've never had a computer in my bedroom because I like to come out and embrace the household and the people that I live with.
Good.
So it's good to get out of my room.
Can I just say, it is such a pleasure to hear the word rumpus room again, because I haven't heard it since like I was at home, like when I was 14. That is very exciting.
I'm a boomer.
You're such a boomer. That's what I've always said about you. Rusty, I don't know if you're quite a boomer, but you're certainly booming in that jacket.
I've got my bombing on. But yes, I'm excited to be here for this one with my fancy outfit. Nick, not as good as yours though.
Please.
I have to say.
It's a smart hoodie. There was a lot of contention about this. There was a lot of discussion, and there were a lot of pictures thrown back and forth on the Discord before we started. Some of which I hope will never see the light of day.
Delete the evidence, Nick.
I know. I think I was the only one that didn't delete the picture, and then and I'm wondering whether or not that was the right choice. Skimmy, how are you doing, buddy?
I'm good. Yeah, I'm excited for playoffs. I'm keen to see what these teams have in their back pocket, really, what they've got prepared for this one. Best of fives, so we get to actually carry a narrative for once.
Absolutely. Let's take a look at the schedule today, because as you alluded to, it is best of fives. It is two sets of best of fives, which means potentially, we are going to 10 games this evening. First up, we've got Order versus Avant, and then the second set of the day is Chiefs versus Direwolves. So two, I mean, everything's consequential at this point of the split, obviously, but two very, very meaningful games. Order versus Avant is probably the one that, at least in my opinion, I feel a little more confident calling.
Yep.
Juves, would you agree with that? That I'm leaning towards Order. I don't know about you.
I'm definitely leaning towards Order, but I think if there's anything we saw from AV last week, it was that API is a bit of a wild card in the top lane. Mm-hmm. So I'd be interested to see if they put a lot of resources into him and he can kind of take over the game. So I'm confident to say Order will win, but I think AV are a bit of a dark horse.
Yeah, I think it's important, Nick, to add the stakes to those schedules as well, right? Because for Order versus AV, even though Order's favourites, it's an elimination round where the second round is double elim for those two in the winner's bracket up top. So even more important for Order versus AV today.
Absolutely, and but then the one for me, Chiefs versus Direwolves. That's a little more spicy. I mean, I would have thought at the beginning of the split, I would have just gone, it's Chiefs, but Direwolves continue to impress, Rusty.
Yeah, they do. And for me, this is a big form check, this best of five. We've seen some pretty shaky results from Direwolves the past couple of weeks. And I wouldn't say the Chiefs have been their absolute best. Sometimes they default back to Croc carrying, if possible. So this, to me, is a very interesting best of five that is entirely a form check to start it off and to really see what form they come into the playoffs with, because they do get two chances.
Absolutely. And Skimmy, I can either give you a chance to give some cogent game analysis, or you can say nothing because you may have to commentate 10 games. The choice is yours, my friend. Mm-hmm. I think we just got word that Skimmy's audio is muted, so I'll let you know all the things he said were very interesting. But he,
yes, he's saving his voice. He's saving his voice.
He's saving his voice. I mean, it's better that you muted now rather than for the potential 10 hours of broadcast that we have ahead of us.
Saving the bandwidth.
That's going to be a long one.
It's going to be a long one. It's going to be an exciting one. We're happy to be here. Let's get into game number one. It is Order versus AV, game one of the best of 5, and it is coming at you with the Macca's Champ Select.
If you're craving the taste of your favourites, head to Macca's for a fast, safe and contactless drive-through experience. For your Macca's run, contact-free, we'll be here.
Well, let's crack into it. It is the very first best of 5 of the day. And Rusty, I'm really hoping I have audio now. You can hear me. I hope the stream can hear me. I've got Twitch set up now, which actually informed me, as well as obviously the lovely producers behind the scene as well. But here we are. Order taking on Avant. I feel like, yes, once again, from, I suppose, my point before, statistically, these two teams, Order definitely have the advantage in that case. I feel like Order had a fantastic lead-up coming into this one, netting a 3-0. And obviously, the most important talking point here is in that regular season, head-to-head, Order have never lost to Avant.
Yeah, they're 3-0 record right now against AV through the regular season, which is obviously a great way to come into the playoffs, right, with that record against your opponents in the first round. Order also have the momentum from those back-to-back super weeks that we had. You know, they looked like an outstanding team. They've got themselves a very positive win record through those weeks. And now, coming against AV, who, you know, admittedly looked decent with the roster swaps that they saw coming into their last week, are still going against now a very consistent, rolling powerhouse with momentum of Order, and it's a hard thing to do.
Yeah, and I think there's a few obvious questions to be asked right now, especially in Avant's side, is how does Appy perform now with another week practicing that top lane, having swapped from the support role? And what do we see from Guncrab, right? You know, the original starting ADC always had Violet there as a backup to take his spot, and he looked incredibly strong. You know, he's busting out the likes of Fresh and Tarek, some pretty mechanically intensive champions that do really require that coordination with the rest of your team. And he made it look pretty good. So I'm excited to see what he brings to that. But also, if he is going to veer into the idea of maybe more ADC-centric supports, we're asking, would there be a Senna, for example?
Yeah, the Senna. I mean, it's a question that we have to continue to explore. Guncrab is one of those guys that, like, even as an AD carry player, he plays mages, you know? Like, he loves the abstract. So I don't think it's a foregone conclusion to say he's going to be a Senna-only player and just play AD carries in the support role, because, like, he did play the Thresh, it seemed decent, and, like, he will play those mages potentially as well if that's something that they've practiced. And that's the thing here, right? Skimmy, they've had time now, at least a little bit more than 0, which is what they had, to practice with these players in their set roles, and we'll see if there's any improvement from it, because that's, like, obviously going to be needed. If Order comes in the form that they had, then you should expect Order to win this series. AV is the form check for sure.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing for me, aside from obviously top lane, we obviously know how consistent Swiper has been the veteran in that lane in the league, really, as a whole. But I think where I really want to look at is the jungle. I feel like there have definitely been games where Lisa has sort of fallen off the map, not really been a presence to really look at, and only has really run rampant. I mean, we look at last week in particular, he bust out the Sejuani, just flawless performance on that, always finding value, and in these matchups in particular, he's always had his Karthus banned away, but when he does get the Karthus, the guy just completely smurfs.
I think the 2 times we've seen his Karthus, he's been like 5 levels ahead at experience. So like a full item with that. Like, it's pretty gross, honestly, what he's able to do with the Karthus. So it's not a surprise to see that one banned away pretty consistently. I do think the jungle's a pretty big key lane that we have to highlight based off recent form, like you mentioned, but also based off the inconsistencies of Lisa. Like, it does feel that if Lisa's not performing his best, Chaz overcompensates with his own performance, and then he suffers in lane. And I think that's just like, that is the one thing that I would be attacking, honestly, if I was Order. Like, you've got the 280 carries in bot lane, but I don't think you need to give any extra attention to Rare and Ayla for them to perform fine. Swipe is the type of player that you can isolate, and I think that like the game should be about drafting for priority if possible, playing around only, giving him a lead, and then watching that spill over into mid lane, where Hayri is proven, especially when he gets his carry champions like the Azir or the Yasuo, to be that hyper carry.
100%. And I feel like, obviously on the flip side of that, we've seen so many times where Chaz feels that he does need to overcompensate. He needs to really make things happen. Whenever the guy gets the Lucian, he is just destroying people. And I expect to see that once again banned away on a consistent number from him. We've seen obviously the likes of the Zoe, we've seen the Rumble, any other champion that can really bring major influence in terms of either one-shotting or just zoning members out and really looking to contest objectives. I feel like hopefully there is a degree of strength that they've elaborated in those side lanes, so it doesn't feel like Lisa is the sole perpetrator of strength to make sure that these lanes get online.
Of course. Chaz, the thing with Chaz, and one of the biggest problems that he's suffered from, is that he's trying too hard to keep his team in the game, and that's all he's able to do from that, right? We've said it all split. If he gets himself a 5-0 scoreline, he's only equalizing what's happening with the rest of his map. So yeah, it's very important that Chaz continues to perform. But it's also even more important that the rest of his team rallies around him to let him actually carry the game to a win, not an equalizing.
Well, let's kick it off. The very first game of finals. It's Order taking on Avant. Bear in mind, this is the lower brackets. There are no second chances. You are done if you cannot close this one out. So it's a big order, big ask, excuse the pun, to get things underway in a convincing fashion, because I feel like momentum really is going to be a driving factor here, Rusty.
Yeah, massively. I mean, it's a best of 5. You've got your underdogs, you've got your favorites, and the thing is, like, we could pick one, but the teams have their own ideas on what that means as well, You're probably coming into this one feeling like you're the favorites if you're Order, but you have to play like it.
Yeah.
You can't rest on your laurels, and you have to expect that the hungry Avant comes at you with everything that they have and tries to take you down in this first game to build that momentum for themselves naturally, which is what they would want to do. So expect everything thrown at Order in this first one.
So, talk about these first 3 bans, really, especially coming out of Order. We talked about the Rumble, how good Chaz is in it. Kalista, Violet, beautiful on that champion as well. And Natalia, we saw Lisa really hard force it in back-to-back games, saying, I really want to make this happen. And I suppose in the same fashion as Rumble, it's really this idea of we want to make sure that objectives can be a point of strength. And we've seen times where Order can definitely struggle, especially around the likes of a Dragon.
That is 100% a ban from Chaz, I think, though. More than it is Lisa. Chaz does like the Talia. I think that's one of the unique play styles that the Talia also provides, is if you have a kill threat in your jungle role, and Talia is able to leave lanes so aggressively, you 4-man attack side lanes. And, from what we've seen of RP as well, he's been very good on the top lane champions, even carries, getting leads over tanks, and Swiper's already gone early towards the tank here as well. Yep. So maybe a consideration there. They've given Swiper the Ornn. He's a strong champion, yes, but they've already said to him, you're weak siding because you're just going to get countered right now with that Ornn, and we're going to pick to win elsewhere in the game. And they're doing that through, right now, only an Ayla.
I'm terrified. The fact that you see those first 3 picks that have come out here from Order, you've given Hayri his best champion by far. This is the most influential pick, really, in his arsenal so far. The Aphelios, the best AD carry, going to be disgusting once a couple of those items come online, and I think really does suit Rare's playstyle of wanting to try and be that playmaker, kind of like what we discussed earlier in the day. And then, big Swiper, obviously, such a rock in that top lane, and it's just going to give them that extra factor if the game were to go late.
Yeah, the thing you're looking at now is a pretty terrifying amount of scaling already there for Order through their carry roles, and then of course having the ornaments to back that up. So you're looking at, like, is it an early game champion that only is going to play to get his team rallied and going? The Lee Sin ban is a good one. Olaf already removed, so the options are getting limited a little bit. But you've got the Elise. If you're looking for some physical damage, there's just an abundance of jungle champions there anyway. So waiting to see where he chooses to go. What he thinks will fit best for the rest of his team, but also just waiting for those bans from AV to see if they continue to focus the jungle role and pinch him. Like, is it a Rek'Sai next to get rid of the physical, early aggressive junglers?
Yeah, I'm curious to see actually what direction they go with this one. If they do continue to limit our Unleashed champion pool, we're going to obviously find out right now, and they do. So Lee Sin as well as Jarvan taken off the board. We've seen him find a lot of success with all 3, quite honestly, but it does obviously leave the Karthus online. Now, where do Order go with this one? Do they leave the Lucian up, is my question.
The Karthus is a risk, though. Like, imagine going Karthus when you already have an Azir and an Ornn. That's not a lot of potential priority. Like, it really depends here, because Chaz could go the LeBlanc, which is a very good ban, actually, away from the Azir. If he can find a champion that gets control of lane and gets priority, then Karthus can't be picked. So you're waiting for that. First of all, this fourth pick, I would rather it isn't a champion for Chaz, unless it's something that he's very confident on against the Azir.
Sure.
Maybe just save it, see what the draft is like. Yeah, there you go. It's a jungler.
Kindred is locked in right now here for Avant, saving that 5th and final pick, making sure that Chaz can find as much advantages as possible, not only in this matchup against Aerie, but against the comp overall. As it stands right now, we're hovering over the Cho'Gath. Whether or not that is...
I mean, that would be, what, support?
Whether or not that is the lock-in. I mein, we've seen Ayla do crazy things before, but surely not. It is going to be the Bard.
The Bard going to be locked in here. I was thinking it'd be a support champion. Cho'Gath I didn't expect to see as your standard support, but Bard locked in here now. It's against the Braum, it's against the Varus. It's a free lane for the Bard of Philios now, effectively. There is still some kill threat there, though. If Kindred comes down, Braum gets the passive off, there's obviously a chance that you'll be able to get some kills early, but easier said than done when they've got the Bard and they can disengage pretty effectively. And there's the champion that we were talking about before in the ban, Skimmy. AV choose to go for the Jarvan. Rek'Sai's the last one standing as a Kassadin.
Locks it in. He's committed to it, and out comes the Kassadin. Absolutely. I suppose we've just gone full circle really in this entire narrative that Chaz feels the need that he has to really match not only the scaling of what Order have brought to the table, but I need to try and really delete somebody, make it a 4v5 for us to actually stand a chance here.
Yeah, well, he's matching the scaling. He's not really matching the lane priority or wave control mid lane priority that comes from the Azir, so that's definitely something that you have to think about here. His jungler is a Kindred who wants to be able to invade and get those stacks.
Yep.
So you have to expect something here from AV. As the first plot twist of this draft was that it's going to be a Trundle top lane into the Ornn. That's something that you would expect to be in the jungle role, but Trundle can handle Ornn decently well. That's not something that should be too concerning. You can build Blade of the Ruin King, you can be a split push monster, and you should actually be able to handle that Ornn decently well. But that doesn't push. Ornn pushes. Azir pushes. And so really, while there is risk of dying, perhaps to ganks, you would expect Rek'Sai to be able to control the Rift pretty handily here against their opponents of AV. That Kassadin pick to me is curious.
Well, it begs the question, right? Because obviously, as you say, Kindred is looking to go hunting, and if they're not going to be able to find priority, especially with the Kassadin, it just wants to farm. Where do they decide to try and find that advantage? Are they looking to go, say, bot lane, where they have the CC to make it as a quote-unquote insurance policy that if he does get caught, he's at least got boys that can back him up?
I guess like it'd be top or it'd be bottom. Just because there is kill threat in both of those lanes. Trundle's pillar is obviously pretty important here.
Yeah.
Provides a pretty big slow and Kindred can get damage off. For me though, and the thing with Kassadin is it's a greedy pick, and not in an explicitly negative way, but it is a greedy pick.
Sure.
And that just adds risks and layers to the difficulties on executing here if you were the Kindred, if you were Lisa trying to make something happen. So he could go bottom, he could try and influence that lane. Rek'Sai could know he's there though. Rek'Sai could be there first, and the Azir could also potentially get there first. So these are things that'll have to be considered. So I don't mind it, honestly, from AV. We'll have to see if there's proof in the purchase, however, and how it performs on the Rift, because there's still some pretty big risk there.
Well, I can hear the noise is getting ready as the Rift is about to come onto our screens. No doubt, first game in the playoffs with Order taking on Avant here. Two different drafts, two different ideas. Will the priorities be enough here? As we're going to see the emotes come online as well.
Yeah, we've got some bees. For anyone wondering, emotes are now available. So as you can see, they're trading emotes between each other. Don't be too surprised to see that in the future. I actually had the pleasure of working on the LPL Skimmy, where emotes have been enabled for years. And there's, as Hayri flashes a Direwolves emote at them. There's been some mind games actually with the emotes there that you might start to see between these guys, but a bit trigger happy so far. They're all just excited to have them available.
I'm looking forward to sort of seeing, especially like the surrender flag or, some tilt poses of the sorts of, getting solo kills in lanes or successful ganks, and then just watching them stagger in the shop for a few seconds and just, select that mute enemy emotes option.
So if we want to talk about emote metagame while we're just watching the start of the jungle pathing, the best thing you can do, Skibby, is have an emote of one of the opposing champions. And if you kill them, just emote that champion on their body. And one of the other ones that I saw was like, I think it was SMLZ or iBoy in the LPL being tower dove like 1v4. And he just put up the white flag and surrendered before the dive started. And it's just so comical.
Just adds another layer, really, to the cast, to the game as a whole. And I suppose you've got a strong mental. It's not something that you need to worry about too much. But I suppose let's bring it back to the draft in some sort of roundabout way. Is there a particular draft that you favour, teams aside?
I think I would favour Order's draft. And I spoke about this in pretty great detail already as to like why. But Ornn is just a strong champion. You know, Rek'Sai, strong early game champion and one of the perfect bridging champions of choice for the Azir in mid lane in that 2v2. And so honestly, I would say that I favour Order's overall draft. You know, they'll hit one item, they'll be strong. They hit two, they'll be strong. They'll hit three, they'll be like peak strength as junglers find each other.
They do. The burrow comes on, and the flash goes out as Lisa is in a bit of trouble. The magical journey brings the boys across. It's going to be a 3-on-3, but it's going to be a first blood going into the pockets of Rare. He's forced to burn the flash, but he gets the kill, and Order already finding success here.
Yeah, doesn't get himself into the magical journey there of the Bard. Actually flashes the wall. They do secure the first blood very early here, though. And this is pretty much exactly what we were talking about. You know, Rek'Sai, very aggressive early game champion, wants to try and track the Kindred, find out where he is at all times. And, well, there's the perfect opportunity, right? Now your bot lane's got priority because they've been pushing already, and they get themselves the free first blood. It's also onto the Kindred, so good luck getting a mark in the enemy jungle from here on out.
And that was one of the points you raised. You're a little bit concerned about as to would they find the priority? Would it be top or would it be bot? Well, if Rek'Sai is able to get that hunt to counteract what you're able to achieve, then it becomes a little bit scary. We had to watch how Lisa's pathing changes as a result, because we've talked about it, you know. This is a guy that will either pop off or sometimes go a little bit vacant in the game.
Yeah, so first mark of the game, it's worth pointing out, was bot side Scuttle Crab, which is why Order's 2v2 moved down there to collect that one. So they've got complete control of both Scuttle Crabs early on into the piece, just after they punished the death of Lisa. So once again, very well done from them. And they'll be able to get to safety perfectly fine back into their lane once Ayla chooses to take the bloody journey.
Yep, he's almost taking a page out of your notebook when you play Bard, just taunting with your opponents, having a bit of fun.
Yeah, place the portal and say, go on. Well, he wants to, yeah.
What was your message? You know, we never lose when I play Bard. I'm sure Ayla's looking to echo those statements right now, but be an engagement that goes across, or I say an engagement, just a fair bit of harassment as Violet pulls back the bow and dashes out some arrows.
Yeah, so the wave starts to bounce back towards Order's tower in the bottom lane 2v2, but there's still double buffs there for Rare, and while he doesn't have the flash, he has the heal. So some kill threat still remains, as Lisa is the one struggling to find a place to be active on the map. He's now looking at top lane. If he finds the chance, I think it'll require some, maybe 2 whole spells to be used by Swiper. Honestly, I think he's just looking at the counter to defend Appy as he pushes this wave in. That's more time spent. You know, that's time spent protecting when there was already a reset happening from the Rek'Sai only. Now gets a chance to get back onto the map faster. We'll clear a camp faster. We'll get level 6 faster. And that massively increases his kill threat. So, Order start this game off incredibly strong.
Incredibly strong they do. And obviously demonstrated here by the CS discrepancy as well. 10 up right now is only, so in a fairly comfortable situation. And that is going to allow him to find the ability to rotate straight towards this Drake, with their bot lane also able to come across as well. And really snowball their advantage in these first few minutes.
And this is the type of stuff where maybe it's been working for AV in scrims, and maybe it would work if they played again in a second game early, but when I watch AV play, and if you ask me what it is they need to succeed, I would say Lisa should be playing one of the champions that he banned, you know, the Jarvan or something aggressive to be able to get some ganks off early, because that seems to be when they looked the best. And this is a very different flavor of AV right now. And I mean, what it's got them so far is it's an even mid lane. You can't complain, you know, Chaz has gotten a 6, even in farm, but it has put Lisa super far behind. And this comes back to that philosophy that we had in Champ Select as well of, is there enough carry still on this team to make something happen? Which is where you have to look now at Appy to make something of himself.
100%. So it's interesting to sort of see what he's been practicing in that off time. Obviously he went with the Irelia, Poppy and the Ornn in his first showing as their new top laner. Adding, obviously, another tank into the arsenal with the Trundle, which will definitely have a fair bit of impact later into the game, but won't really see Chaz really flare things up until around about the level 11 mark. So,
yeah,
it's interesting where Lisa goes with this.
It is worth highlighting. If we get to that point, Skip, if we manage to make it to a point in this game where Chaz hits level 16, where Appy gets his 3 items, like,
yeah.
I don't know exactly what Order will be able to do against that one, right? Like, imagine being a very low mobility champion against that Cassidy. He's just going to run you down, and you're just going to hate it. You know, that Ornn's going to be stuck in a side lane with Appy, and suddenly it's a lot harder to defend the person that Cassidy's chasing down. Like, that's possible.
Yeah.
You know, and both bottom laners here from Order will suffer to the hands of that Cassidy if it gets to that point. It's about what happens in between, though, where I have my reservations for AV's draft.
You raise a good point. I'm, I suppose, curious to really see how Order dictate this early game as a result, right? How do they really command those first 15 minutes to make sure that the advantage is strong enough that even if we were to get to a point where level 11 to 16 comes online, that all sort of awkward spot for a Kassadin, that they find themselves in a situation maybe 5 to 10k gold up, obviously ornaments coming online as well, and that the 1v5 Kassadin show may not be as apparent as we'd like to see. Regardless, we're hitting that magical 8-minute mark, and that's where lane swaps tend to take place. Swiper's looking to go for that lane reset, because obviously Trundle's already down in the bottom side, but Avant are making it a bit of a hard time for him right now. He's holding on.
No.
But he decides, well, if you're not going to let me back, I'll at least secure the second objective here.
Yeah, and his team's already here hitting the Herald. So, I mean, at the end of the day, nothing really doing there. AV flipped the map, but they don't get anything massive from it. There'll be a couple plays in bottom lane, potentially. Swiper, we'll see if he uses teleport. He does, actually, so wants to save some plates down there. Maybe not any cross maps to be seen anytime soon in a 5v5 sense. That is a teleport advantage for AV, in the sense that they have 2 of them as well, not just 1 teleport for Appy. Chaz has managed to keep his own. They could counter the Herald play pretty nicely, honestly, in the next coming minutes, so that's something we'll have to continue to observe as they have that potential.
They do have that potential. And Lisa, once again, showing his face in this top lane, really babysitting this bottom lane, or this duo, I should really say, and, you know, trying to get them back on the board, obviously donating double buffs to Rares Aphelios. Nothing that you really want to have happen there, who has obviously gone for the BF sword with the Cull, so just looking to farm up. Get a couple of items online, make sure that the Aphelios starts to do those disgusting things, especially with this weapon combination. We've seen so many times down goes the turret, and millions of chakrams just destroy you from Zoe miles away.
Yeah, acting like a helicopter parent at the moment is Lisa, just trying to protect his team. While we're seeing the blue buff transferred here by Hayri as well, note that he has gone towards the Lost Chapter as his first item. I'm not sure if he will go straight towards the Nash's Tooth. I honestly think that there's a world where you consider the Ludens first, but that's entirely up to him. The reason that I say that is because you don't want to sit there and try and consistently damage the Kassadin too much. You may still want to go Nash's for the cooldown reduction though, but if a Kassadin jumps on you, you usually will tend to run away, and that just gets worse with time. Right now he still should be fine, but that can escalate pretty wildly at a certain point.
Obviously going for that direct matchup there against the anti-mage of all anti-mages. But this is his best champion by far. Obviously he did get that Yasuo to come through one time.
Is Kassadin the anti-mage of all anti-mages, Skimmy?
Well, I want to call
or
him the anti-mage.
Galio?
No, well, you see, Galio, he's just a Titan. That's what I'm going to call him. I'm going to call Kassadin the anti-mage because he's an assassin. And if I think of anti-mages,
Titan, though.
If I think of anti-mages and not linking it to any other game in particular, you know, I think of assassins.
Yeah, right.
Do you think as Galio's an assassin? The guy's too bulky. Can you imagine him like fitting into some like spandex and like creeping around?
Oh, okay, but what is the definition of an assassin here, Skimmy? Because he's not a ninja.
Oh, that's a good point.
He can still one-tap your face.
That is a good point. Especially with the new Galio buffs as well, right? With his ultimate.
Yeah.
He's a assassin with shields for the gang. Basically, Janna's older brother. I don't know where I'm going with this one, Rusty. You need to give me some analysis on top of this right now.
Yeah, right. So we're just going to continue to watch the first turret dying in bottom lane. We just ignore and move on. That's the way we attack
That's
this
how we
one.
work.
But still bigger leads being built by Order. It is slow, it is incremental, but it is consistently going their way right now. Waiting to see something happen, honestly, from Lisa's side of the coin here. like mentioned in mid lane, Chaz will be happy farming. Violet is still even in CS. RP has fallen behind a little bit, but it's kind of negligible at a certain point. But then, while that certain point may exist, say it is just like one completed item, Swiper will still hit level 13, and then that goes back the other way all over again. So, topsy-turvy is any kind of Ornn matchup.
I think that really has been Violet's strength, right? Obviously, he's come into this one, and he definitely doesn't look out of place, right? He's keeping up. Yes, obviously the kill and the first blood made a major difference to allow Aphelios to be where he is, hitting that 5k mark first, but the guy's definitely got the mechanics to showcase what he can do. And
that was his first mark of the game. Fairy claps for Lisa. He's got one. He needs 3 more to be relevant. Who's keeping
It's actually so rough as a Kindred. Hey, when you don't have those marks, you just feel like I don't know. I'm trying to think of another champion to compare it to, but I'm probably going to leave those comparisons. Otherwise, you might just disconnect from this call and refuse to cast anymore.
Like a Kassadin pre-level 6, perhaps.
Perhaps. That's actually a good comparison. But it's
like
interesting.
A Tristana at level 1, perhaps.
It is interesting, actually, you know, comparing these two teams from a stats point, right? Like I alluded to at the start of this series, but Order beat them in every stat across the board. I'm talking GPM, CS per minute, differentials, objectives. The only thing that Avant win is by a small margin, and that is like vision score. And at this stage, it's obviously allowing them to disengage from potential death there on Chaz. But Order are looking to find their mark, and that is, we want to take down some structures.
Yeah, they do get the flash off the Kassadin, who does not have teleport up, so they can continue to pressure this top lane outer turret. Swiper has already cleared mid. And the teleport is there from RP if AV wanted to mount a defense, but again, it doesn't seem like it's going to be the easiest thing to do with Order well and truly set up before their opponents. So they'll continue to harass this. Maybe one more turret plate will be all she wrote for that one. Rare needs to not be rare and just overstay beyond all belief. But still good damage so far.
They're really trying to force this one. 30 seconds and those turret plates fall on down. You can see a potential flank there from Only, looking to maybe try and zone these members away so they can ensure that that final plate did go down. Obviously Rare using the Moonlight Vigil as well. Always keep an eye on this, man. I'm sure we're going to see plenty more crazy things over the duration of this best of 5.
Yeah, so now we see AV completely back away from this turret. So it will just be the entirety of the turret going down. That's 2-0. They're going to deny some minions here first, just to see if the wave, if they want to, the wave will bounce back to them. And so that wave will then be set up for someone to come and collect it. I think it will still be Rare. It may actually be Hayreed, depending on how they want to assign their lanes, though. Given the fact that he's dipped into the jungle, there's a chance that he then becomes the top laner and puts in weak side. So now Order are the ones who really do have to protect whoever goes into those side lanes, if it is Rare, if it is Hayreed, to try and snowball a lead in this game. They've broken the outers. Mid lane is the last one that they really need to break, and the Herald is there to do so. And with this, I think that the driver's seat is an understatement of Order's state of the game.
Absolutely. They've already picked up 2 of these Drakes, now looking to collect their second Rift Herald of the game. It's been a very slow game, as you'd kind of expect, really, for an opening of a best of 5. Only 1 kill in the first 15 minutes here, but Order are definitely in the driving seat with objectives, giving themselves that potential soul point and themselves, obviously, the first 2 turrets, obviously, allowed with that Rift Herald.
I didn't realize as well, he's gone the most scaling. Chaz has gone the most scaling. Yeah, he didn't go for the... He's gone for the Rod of Ages, is what I'm saying. He didn't go straight for a tier item and not go Rod. So now he's waiting for the tier to stack, Rod of Ages to stack. He's just hit level 11, so he's got his mana items, but the damage is a little bit lacking. He's building up. It is a slow ramp. But so far, he hasn't been punished, and he is still farming with the clock. And, like, if I was to give any major signs of hope for AV, that's the one. You know, like, Violet is still farming fine, but he's behind in his role by a lot of gold from these turrets. But there's a world where Chaz still hits that 16 and becomes too powerful.
At level 16, so gross. It's almost like being a proud parent, you know, watching your kid perform in their first school play. You know, see them level up progressively. The Rod comes online. They have their second birthday party. There's the completed tier 2. Pretty excited to see where this Kassadin goes. We're getting glimpses of it now, right now, with the level 11 online. No deaths for this Kassadin. It's the dream start, and still in touching distance. Pretty much identical, let's be honest, with this Azir.
Yeah, at the moment, the Merc trades do seem to be enough magic resistance, but it's like we mentioned, he's got mana items, he doesn't have damage items currently, so they'll have to concede this Drake. It was just a little bit of poke there from Chaz onto only. They'll actually take the turret in trade, so this is the first time that they've really got a major transaction happening. You know, they trade the top outer turret for the Drake, but that is the third of the game.
Yeah.
And we're starting to near that point where, like, first of all, it's an Ocean Soul. You don't want to give the Ocean Soul over. That makes life miserable if you're already behind. And then, second of all, they need to actually just start getting something back in their direction now that they are hitting small spikes at least. And it's all going to be Appy for the next couple minutes for me.
Well, you had to imagine so, right? He's gone for the Ravenous Hydra rush. He's always been in that side lane, so always keeping that in check, always making sure that Swiper has to match it at least. Now we're going to see the Cassidy start to follow in hot pursuit and do the same. And level by level, we count this one down to Summer 16, where the good times happen. That's where we're looking for the damage to come online, but it needs to come in quickly. 4 minutes. An Ocean Soul would be threatened. Well, I hope they built themselves up a strong enough lead to get them in that driving seat. Up by just 4k gold. We reckon
This is actually
5 to 10.
Now that I look at it, Skibby, we've been counting down Cassidy hitting 16, but he's not the only champion in the game where you count levels for. We're one off Swiper's ornaments.
Correct.
And then we're 2 off him being able to buff his team. You know, you've actually got the Infinity Edge already done for Rare. You've got the Redemption already done for Ayla as well. So fully prepared to have their items upgraded.
Yep.
And we can sit here and we can count Cassidy hitting 16 because it's a big deal. But once Swiper upgrades his team, you know, that relative gold lead they have does increase.
Absolutely. Which puts us into those numbers, those margins of where they find that strength. They're definitely utilizing it right now, having taken those towers in mid and top lane before, allowing him to go for a clean rotation as such, with only on the flank. Always looking to keep eyes on where this Cassidy is, always looking to abuse the fact that they can collapse upon him. And go for a second outer turret right now as the full collapse goes across. But
yeah, they constantly do this though, Skimmy, and I'm really liking what Order's doing so far. Swiper's actually been the recipient of, I think, like 2 waves, 2 lanes for the past 5 minutes. Order are grouping as 4. They're actually keeping Harry with Rare to pressure turrets. And then you've just got this guy bouncing back and forwards just on a pogo, going between waves, cleaning them up. And, you know, that does open towers to drop, which is what Appy's able to do twice now. But Swiper's getting a lot of money, so he's getting closer to those items for it.
And he's CSing like an absolute monster right now. Fantastic job on this Ornn. Well working towards that second core item. And the Blacksmith will make sure of it. There we go, getting much, much closer to that Abyssal Mask right now. The reset seems to take place here from Avant, getting themselves geared up. As 2 minutes now for a potential soul point.
Yeah, he's mostly untouchable at the moment, Swiper, now that he's got that Forge Fire cape done. And the rest of the map, you saw that top lane inner turret does actually break. And now Order move as a squad once again towards the next place on the map that they deem important. They take blue buff after blue buff away from Lisa. I honestly don't think he's seen one of them, besides maybe the level 1 jungle start, if that's where he was. Because, I mean, honestly, Only's had his number. And it's not reflected through the CS difference that you're looking at, but it definitely is a lot of his own jungle camps that have been taken here. Lisa's struggling.
Very much so.
Has he got more than 1 stack yet?
I'd love to see if we do get the Spectator pan across to the Kindred to see really the assessment of this champion. You highlighted it before, right? Looks much more comfortable on the likes of an Olaf, a Jarvan, a Lee Sin, anybody that can really play, I suppose, a more supporting role, as opposed to the sort of carry-style jungle. But
well, it's about the ganking more than it is the carry or not style champions for me. You know, like the Jarvan can do damage, can be a tank, but what he does do is he ganks early. And the Kindred, while being a ranged champion with a red buff, could always potentially look for those ganks. We spoke about this through draft. That's not really the best way to play this one, because Only was always going to try and track you. And he did, and you saw what happened. He was the first blood of the game, and the only kill of the game that has been given over in what is a 5,000 gold lead.
Well, it's starting to get worrying. 30 seconds, and we reach that point of potential conclusion, with Avant sacrificing virtually everything. Keeping up in CS for the most part, able to find towers, in part thanks to Appy's Trundle. But now they will have to finally contest.
Feels like we're further into the game than we actually are. 21 minutes in, Ocean Soul is up.
It's been hyper-accelerated, that is for sure. The Magical Journey looks to jump on towards Chaz. Only's going to execute, and Only's going to kill. Burns at the flash, distorts away, receives an exhaust. And that's less XP. No chance to continue to scale up here.
Yeah, they got the flash as well from Lisa, so that is just the Drake for free. They'll take the turret in mid lane, they'll disengage, they'll go over to the Drake. How do AV even get into the area to contest this one when they're missing Chaz? You know, you've got 18 seconds on the Death Fiber while he has teleport, he won't be there in time. That's just Ocean Soul. I mean, you want to talk about a best-of-5 series in a way to start this one off. You want to talk about momentum building.
Yes.
I mean, this is a devastating start for AV.
100% from the very get-go with the jungle. Obviously, the Bard now with all these towers falling on down, the vision denial, and just the ability to traverse the map too, just catching out members when they feel like they're safe. Now you've got an Ocean Soul online, and you've not got any healing cut to respond to it with.
It's just a shutout. We're having a bit of a resident sleeper, I will admit, for our first game of the OPL playoffs. Two kills. It was a very exciting second kill at the Drake and AV. Really not contesting anything, really not choosing to fight anything. They haven't drawn their line in the sand yet. Cassidy is level 14, but he was the one who unfortunately died for that, even though he has, you know, that abundance of mobility. We're still waiting for, like, the big moment. And I worry that, like, if it happens at all, will it be too late for AV? Because that Ocean Soul is obviously going to be a big deal. Swiper, I think that's his Infernal Mask that he just completed as he finds the Cassidy. So he's now untouchable. Like, what do you do? You keep Chazbot till he hits 16, and then you pray you can win a team fight, I guess? But look at this.
I mean, look at the fact that the Ornn is going for the 1v1, has not taken a sliver of damage.
Cassidy, by the way. Outscaled, by the way.
Absolutely. That is a sight to behold. And that really zones him away from the potential to interact with this Baron, forced to recall back. Does have still the teleport available, but a two-man Baron attempt, and they are just shredding it.
Yep, AV's not contesting. Once again, they might be in a meditative state waiting for the second game at this point. Pressuring the bot lane in a turret at the same time as doing Baron. Still no contest from AV in either direction. They're actually just going to lose all of it. And now you've got the rest of the team starting to rotate in. You know, you've got Order getting control of the blue side quadrant and the red side quadrant right now, almost simultaneously. And this is a... I'm running out of adjectives.
I know.
Skibby.
I know. And I think it really starts from the initial part of that draft where you started to question, why have they gone here in this direction? Obviously locking in the Cassidy as that final pick. Not really allowing the Kindred to find the value that you would have wanted to see. But now they are resigned to those turrets, resigned to their base. And I think Rare does what many people look to achieve, which is a picture speaks 1,000 words with that white flag going up.
Yeah, Appy starts playing Dido in the background. He says he's going to go down with this tower. He's definitely acknowledged the state of this game. Have we seen an Ornn ultimate?
We haven't. We've seen a very minimal team fighting. It's all been about macro. It's all been about decision making, quite honestly. Ayla locks them in place, looking to lay down the trophy. They go golden and spell disaster. That's a double kill for Rare, who snipes them from afar. They're going to chase on through, look for the triple, which he does connect with. And they want to explode this game. They want to do it very convincingly too. 25 minutes in, Order, flawless game. Every objective, every kill, 0 deaths. The only death that they will look at is the falling of the enemy Nexus, which will go down. White flag goes up. Order, find momentum.
Skimmy, they were 2 turrets off a perfect game in the first game of a best of 5 in an elimination round of the OPL playoffs. It was a class performance from Order. You cannot take anything away from them, but there was only one team in that game. Yeah. And I can tell you right now, we both know who that was, because one team did nothing for the entirety of that game, did nothing. And just still waiting for their moment. They just couldn't find it.
It definitely was So this is why I wonder, right? I mean, you talk about the draft initially as to giving all these power picks to Order. Then you talk about, okay, well, what was your game plan to get yourselves in? And then I sort of highlighted, Lisa, would his pathing change the result by the fact that he failed that initial gank? We didn't actually get to catch unless you saw how many hunt stacks the Kindred had. I mean, last we saw it was 1, but zero impact. I think we only saw the Halo Grand come out once at the end there, and it was like, please, we don't want this inhibitor to fall on down. But by that stage, against a Baron, against 10k up essentially, and an Ocean Soul, yeah, there's not really much more to say about it than that.
I think it was one mark at the end there from Kindred. He got a single Scuttle Crab, and I don't actually know if he ever ventured into the enemy jungle, Skitty, at all. I don't think he crossed the river. That's how bad that game went for him. Oh my god.
Well, we're going to let Rusty reset. We're going to let the team Avant reset as Order lead the best of 5 series 1-0. Don't go anywhere. After the break, it's game 2.